Honorable Speaker, thank you very much to the Majority Leader for donating that time. As you are aware, Honorable Speaker, the State of the Nation address was given last week. My position has always been that because the rules require that the President be heard in silence, those of us who might feel strongly to raise objections, try and stay away from that debate. But I observed something very unique, Majority Leader, that this time around people were allowed to give feedback to the President when he was giving his speech. So maybe next year, now that a tradition has been set that you can stand up and clap and shout slogans, then probably some of us now are welcome to attend, Honorable Speaker, although we might have divergent views. Honorable Speaker, I will start off by my expectation whenever it comes to the State of the Nation, because this is a duty under Article 132(1)(c) that requires the President to elucidate the measures taken and the progress that has been achieved in achieving the national values that have been set out under Article 10, and to publish that those measures and the progress in Kenya Gazette, and lastly, Honorable Speaker, to report on the progress in fulfilling the international obligations that Kenya has signed up to. Speaker, unfortunately for me, just from the beginning there, when you see the way the head of state framed his understanding of Article 132, there is already a problem, because, Honorable Speaker, instead of focusing solely on those three areas that have been highlighted under Article 132, he frames the conversation, starting off there in the first paragraphs about a vision that he has to sell and a story that he has to tell, speaks about affordable homes, factories, hustler fund, promises made and promises kept. Unfortunately for me, Honorable Speaker, my expectation is that in the order in which Article 132 is framed, the vast majority of the time that the President takes to speak to the nation should be actually to address the values that are in Article 10 and what his government has done in the period since he last spoke in Parliament. By the way, I have seen references here to previous years, including 2022, when my understanding is, because it is an annual address, in my view, he should restrict himself to the measures that he has taken as a government in the last 12 months since he spoke last to Parliament and the progress that has been achieved. In fact, Honorable Speaker, you have to go all the way to paragraph 12 of the speech for you to encounter just a mention of the values under Article 10. Article 10, Honorable Speaker, has a total of 17 values. 17 values from patriotism all the way through national unity, devolution, rule of law, democracy, all the way to sustainable development. Honorable Speaker, therefore, it was a bit disappointing that that order was not, in my view, followed. So that you will see, Speaker, we have to come all the way to paragraph 26, from 24 to 26 there, when he's addressing the question of Kenya's meeting its international obligations. He has spoken about the Eurobond redemption, foreign reserves, international markets, Kenyans being upgraded by Kenya's sovereign credit rating being upgraded by Standard & Poor's, and so on and so forth. But, Speaker, what is required under Article 132 is that you spend a bit of time in addressing these 17 values. And my position, having gone through this speech, Honorable Speaker, of those 17 values, I have counted less than 5 that the President addressed directly. And I also want to say that just mentioning or listing the values is not providing a report to the nation on the measures that you've taken and the progress that has been achieved in those in achieving those values. So, Honorable Speaker, you come to the President's speech from paragraph 18 there. You will see that he goes straight on to say that in the address he will set out strategic choices, the reforms we will deepen, the sectors we will unlock, investments we will prioritize, which is futuristic language. These are the things that he's going to do. And in fact, Honorable Speaker, out of the 163 paragraphs in this speech, the President gave us the job of looking for these values in just 93 of those paragraphs. From paragraph 94, Honorable Speaker, all the way to 163, all he's talking about is his new vision, the promises that he's now making on questions like building of 50 mega dams, 10,000 megawatts of electricity in the next 7 years, 2,500 kilometers of roads that he says is going to do all, 228,000 kilometers for tarmacking that he has identified. Speaker, therefore, for some of us, we struggled trying to find where these values are and what measures he has taken in the past 12 months to be able to achieve them throughout this speech. And I will go one by one, Honorable Speaker, so that you can be able to see that what I am saying is actually factual. Speaker, I have spoken about the rights themselves. So the first time he attempts to discuss measures that he has taken to address any of the rights, any of the, what are they called? Any of the values in Article 10 is at paragraph 59, where he says he's turning to discuss healthcare as the foundation of human dignity, one of those values in Article 10. Honorable Speaker, just this morning, those of you who read the newspapers saw the sad story of one Wanjiku Kabita, who is stuck in India because her family is unable to pay medical fees. She suffers from kidney complications. Speaker, to me, really you cannot gloss over the issues in health. We as a House, yes, pass certain laws to bring into existence of the social health assurance, but the conversation about SHA cannot be complete without addressing the challenges that SHA is facing. Speaker, you know that SHA owes hospitals and other healthcare facilities a lot of money, and we have had repeated, in the past 12 months, repeated cases of hospitals shutting down or refusing or rejecting or turning away patients who are on SHA because they say that SHA is not remitting money back to them. You remember the rural and urban private hospital associations has had in the period between January and this month had more than once threatened to actually go on strike because these monies were not being remitted. Just the other week, I saw a statement from the Catholic bishops as well, Honorable Speaker, calling on the government to remit monies owed to faith-based health facilities. So these challenges, you cannot have a conversation about healthcare, and he has said is the foundation of human dignity, without addressing the indignity that Kenyans continue to face because of lack of affordable care. Last week, I think this House was again discussing a statement from the Senator of Kiambu about mothers and newborns still being detained in hospitals because, Honorable Speaker, we do not have sufficient funding from SHA to be able to take care of these bills. Then, Honorable Speaker, the second one, he spoke about the education sector. And, Honorable Speaker, everybody knows the issues that have bedeviled the education sector in the past 12 months. Speaker, as we speak today, the JS interns who are supposed to be employed on permanent and pensionable, their contracts are expiring this December. Now, one cabinet secretary stood up and told the teachers that there was about 6 billion. That was the CS for Treasury. 6 billion earmarked on, for the absorption of these JS teachers. There are about 20,000 of them on permanent and pensionable basis. Speaker, another CS from the same government, this time the one in charge of education, says there is nothing like that. So the uncertainty, I thought that the president would utilize this opportunity to clear that uncertainty and tell the teachers, the 20,000 JS teachers, whether his government is going to put them on permanent and pensionable or not, so that they can enjoy their Christmas with the rest of the family, of their families with that certainty. Honorable Speaker, we are being faced with the spectre that come January, the free day secondary education that has been existing since Kibaki's time might not continue, because we have seen a circular from government that we are going back to the 2015, what is it called, the Gazette from 2015, that does not factor in that amount that was being paid by government for the day scholars in the secondary schools. Now, a president who has such an opportunity, I thought he would take that time to be able to calm the nerves of the anxious parents in this country and tell them that there will be no removal or the discontinuation of the free day secondary education in Nairobi. We also had, in the past 12 months, Honorable Speaker, strikes in our universities that have affected, especially the first years who are reporting. You are aware, Honorable Speaker, that they were on the streets, the lecturers, for over 60 days. I think it was a good opportunity for the president, as the head of state, to take that opportunity to explain to the country what he's going to do in order that we resolve the crisis that happen from day to day in the education sector. I want to move very quickly, Honorable Speaker. If you go to paragraph 94, Speaker, those things I have debated here, I've discussed here, are the only references I see to the values in Article 10 of the Constitution. So from paragraph 94, where the head of state says, having set out the work of the last 3 years, it would be easy, almost comfortable to pause, congratulate ourselves, and settle into the warmth of modest progress. Now, from this particular paragraph, Honorable Speaker, he believes that he has fulfilled the requirement under Article 132(1)(c) of reporting on the measures his government has taken and the progress that has been achieved, which I argue has not happened. From there on, Honorable Speaker, we get into discussions. I think there are at least 15 to 20 paragraphs here where the President is just talking about the history of the Asian tigers. This is 20 paragraphs. That Asian tigers debate, Honorable Speaker, has nothing to do with the values in Article 10. Then, of course, the favorite conversations are around things that allow for, people to be able to engage in construction. I think the President's favorite thing is construction. He has told us himself that housing and markets and the others are his favorite thing, and they are the indicators that his government is working. So he quickly goes into the things that he thinks are Kenya's priorities. He starts with the 50,000 mega dams, Honorable Speaker, the 10,000 megawatts of electricity in the next 7 years, then the 2,500 kilometers of roads for tarmacking. Speaker, this is not what that speech is supposed to be for. That speech should be heavy on the things you have done to address the software of this country, and that software, Honorable Speaker, is in the discussion about devolution, rule of law, democracy, human dignity, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability. In the entire speech, Honorable Speaker, there is no mention of that, any of those values. Even for us as a House, we should be concerned that the entire speech mentions nothing to do with devolution, Honorable Speaker, given the challenges we face as senators. And I am happy that in the crowd of people who are uploading this speech, I didn't see senators there. Otherwise, I would have been extremely embarrassed because, Honorable Speaker, every day here we lament that devolution is not working. How can you therefore be uploading when an entire speech has nothing to do with devolution, Honorable Speaker? And I want to challenge any member of this House. Before you rise on a point of order, show us where in the speech the President addresses the problems of devolution.
Is it point of order or point of information? Then maybe I ask him whether he is interested to be informed. Can you conclude within
Honorable Speaker, I don't want to be informed by Senator Cherargei because I was watching those proceedings from the safety of my bar. I didn't see the senators. And if there were senators who are uploading a speech that has no mention of the problems of devolution, shame on you. And you should not ever complain here again about whether devolution is working or not working, because how can you upload such a speech? I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for donating time to me.
Next, Senator Chute Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me also to make my statement on the State of the Nation address delivered by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency, Dr. Ruto. Allow me also to commend His Excellency, the President, on comprehensive, visionary, and strongly grounded and worded address. I also would want to emphasize on a few remarks made by His Excellency. Truly, inflation has been controlled under 4.6%. We have a reserve of 12 billion shillings. That is very stable and progressive. Honorable Speaker, if you look at agriculture, I have a farm in Naivasha. And because of, I know Senator Cherargei is shocked. I have a farm in Naivasha. Yes, I have a farm in Naivasha. near the president's farm. So, because of the cost of fertilizer, yes, we are neighbors. Honorable Speaker, because of the cost of fertilizers that has reduced drastically, we had made bumper harvest of maize for the last 3 consecutive harvesting period. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, you've seen the production of 70 million bags of maize. And this, Honorable Speaker, this is less than 10% of arable land we have in this country. And maize growth maybe is about 5%. What we need, Honorable Speaker, is we need distribution gaps of fertilizers. That also should be taken care of on the agriculture side. Honorable Speaker, something very, very important the President has talked about is the issue of large dams, medium dams, and small-scale dams, the small ones. Honorable Speaker, if I give you a place like Marsabit, the example of a place like Marsabit, Honorable Speaker, if today we have dams in Marsabit County, in Turkana County, around Ukambani area, Honorable Speaker, I'll tell you, we'll be having extra produce to send to our neighboring countries. And I want to thank the President for even talking about the 5 trillion investment he is looking for. And he has broken them into small pieces on how this money will be generated. And I really support that. And the reason why I should support this is today, or for the last many years, we've been being fed by relief supplies in Marsabit County, Wajir County, Mandera County, Turkana County, and many other northern counties. And if we have dams, the program he has shown, if that program is going to be successful, then I will tell you today this country will change. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of Social Health Authority, SHA, Honorable Speaker, recently I had, some months back, had a patient who was brought to Nyeri, and he was operated on. He had 2 surgeries. And both surgeries, Honorable Speaker, were paid for by SHA, the tune of 800,000 shillings. And this is an old man who is very poor. Although we've added some few coins on top of what SHA has given, I think that is a very positive move, and maybe in future, in the near future, looking at the vision of the President, I think the whole country will be covered by SHA. When we were in Logologo, Marsabit County, on Sunday the other week, the President was there. The President said, in Kiswahili, muende hospitali, SHA mi ndio nitalipa pesa. Says, go to the hospital, SHA will pay you. I will pay you. And I was asking, how can this happen? Then yesterday, I had a time to go and sit with the SHA CEO, and I asked her what that meant. And she told me very clearly, anything from rural hospitals managed by the counties will be free. But what is happening, Honorable Speaker, there is 13 billion shillings, which is supposed to be paid to the counties, and unfortunately, counties are not capable of managing those hospitals. From level 1 to level 4, level 3, they have not claimed that money, and this money is still lying with SHA, and I hope and wish the governors can take some action and see how our people can be managed, can be easily helped by giving them access to hospitals. Honorable Speaker, the issue that has to be fast-tracked is on national audit of SHA, on reimbursement appeal system has to be hastened so that claims can be paid very fast. Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, and this House, I've said this House some time back, the affordable housing is a scam. I want to retract that wording now because I have seen units being built in Nakuru, Eldoret, Mombasa, Nairobi, Marsabit, Isiolo, Meru, everywhere. And people, our people are really happy. And something the president has forgotten to mention, Honorable Speaker, we have commercial developers doing a lot of development in this country. If you go to Isili, South C, South B, Parklands, Kilimani, and many, many other places, they have invested heavily, and this is a huge contribution to this country. That is what should be also, the president should have mentioned that they have contributed heavily to the development of this country. Honorable Speaker, there is issues we need to also discuss about universities. Funding model still is a challenge. I think the president needs to work on that one and see, definitely through the Treasury, Ministry of Education, to see how this can be rescued. Honorable Speaker, let me come to cost of living. Honorable Speaker, if you look at electricity cost in Ethiopia, is 1 birr per kilowatt hour. That means it's about 90 cents Kenya shillings per kilowatt hour. What do we have in Kenya, Honorable Speaker? 27 shillings per kilowatt hour. How do you expect the cost of living to be lower than any other East African countries? Let me give you an example of Ethiopia. The electricity capacity they are producing, Honorable Speaker, is 13,000 megawatts plus. What do we produce in Kenya? 2,700. You've heard the president talking about rationing. Imagine countries like Ethiopia, if you talk about rationing, they will be laughing at you. They have already given us 200 megawatts of electricity and 100 to Tanzania. So I will urge the president to talk to his counterpart, the Prime Minister, Ethiopian Prime Minister, and see if we can be given more supplies of more electricity into Kenya, because we have got a line which is capable of taking 2,000 megawatts. Honorable Speaker, the cost of living will not go down because of the issues of wealth. This needs to be tackled. If you want to, I don't know after how many years, if you want to take the model of Singapore, there are so many things we must do. And the president cannot be one-man army. He has to be, he has a vision. He's trying to tell his visions to us. But we have to, as politicians, as people of this country, we have to support him to make sure that his vision and dream comes through. That is how we are looking at Singapore. The other issue, Honorable Speaker, in Marsabit, there are so many roads that has told. Because of securitization of the money, he borrowed 75 billion. All those roads are now operational.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, why are you too stern today? What is the problem? You are too strict. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, I want to register my appreciation to colleagues who have at least taken time to agree, disagree, critique, Mr. Speaker, the President's speech. There is a culture, Senator Mungatana, that is fast disappearing from Parliament. And as an elder, you need to be worried. This is no longer a house of debate. And it should concern anybody that loves the legislature. Much as I don't agree with many of the things Senator Sifuna says sometimes here, at least I appreciate one thing, that when he went around Nairobi and sought the opportunity to serve and represent those people here, he does that job here every afternoon. What I find difficult, dear colleagues, is for people to campaign so hard, and the county is a difficult thing. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, you know, people even don't know that we earn the same salary with members of the National Assembly. Yet we represent and do a job that is 4, 5, 6, or even 17 times what they do in terms of representation, Mr. Speaker. Yet, after doing all that difficult task, Mr. Speaker, you find people not getting the time to come to the House. That really bothers me. I must appreciate that at least, unlike last year, today we went to the second, actually the third session of debate, because we did this speech yesterday afternoon, today in the morning, and this afternoon because of our colleagues who have spoken about it. Last year, actually, we concluded on the first session, because I don't know for what reason you couldn't find enough people to debate and say the things that they were saying. So I want to register my appreciation to colleagues who have taken time to read the 163 paragraphs of this speech and given their evaluation and their assessment. There are many that have agreed with the proposals that are being made by the President and the call to action that is giving to the nation on the things that needs to be achieved. Mr. Speaker, there are those that disagree as well. I agree, Mr. Speaker, with colleagues that are saying there are certain aspects that should have been mentioned and probably did not feature. But, Mr. Speaker, you know, there were days we used to go to the State of the Nation address and you sit there for 3 hours. In fact, I remember the former president another time, he threw away half of his speech and said, these things are too much, I've said enough that I need to say. But when you are a leader that appreciates what you are saying, Mr. Speaker, you limit yourself to that which you feel is most fundamental at that particular time. And I feel strongly, Mr. Speaker, that the President took time to address the issues of the progress that his administration has made the last 3 years, and now setting the solid foundation for what we need to do in the years that are coming. Mr. Speaker, we must appreciate that what part of the biggest deficiency that this country suffers is that we want to politicize everything. That we reduce our national conversations to be you must win or I must lose conversations, Mr. Speaker. We must rise and get to a point of having a vision that we agree to as a nation. And then we all aspire. And it will not matter who is president, who is senator, who is governor. We just know that these are the things that we are focusing on for the next 10, 15, or 20 years. Mr. Speaker, you know, many times when people speak about the things that have happened in this country, you would think that there was no country before 2022. There was a nation. There were challenges. If you speak about the education sector, for example, is it not true, Mr. Speaker, that in the last 3 years under this administration, what is the biggest challenge that many of the constituents, for example, the people that I represent in this house, ask us about? They tell you that we need enough teachers to teach our students, because the worst thing that can happen to a parent is to send your child to a public institution and there's no teacher to teach them. We were in a situation, Mr. Speaker, where in certain schools, you are finding that one teacher was teaching 3 or 4 subjects because there are not enough people. The progress that has been made of employing close to 80,000 teachers up to this point is significant progress and need to be noted. The second thing, Mr. Speaker, that we struggle about is infrastructure. I went through public education, and I know today when I visit, for example, Unity Primary School, where I went to school, Mr. Speaker, I feel troubled because the kids squeeze themselves in a tiny little room, close to 100 children, particularly in cities, a place like Nairobi here, Mr. Speaker, where many children go to public institutions, Mr. Speaker, don't have sufficient infrastructure. This government has put in place the sufficient resources first to build across the country 23,000 classrooms to take care of the transition that is happening from the former education 844 to CBE, competent-based education, Mr. Speaker, and the rest of the things that need to be done. Therefore, you can record, and that's what we have said. While it is good to say the things that are not up to par in all our sectors, we must never forget where we have come from and what has been done. You can say the same about the health sector. Speak to your governor, Governor Mutuma, and he will tell you, Mr. Speaker, that part of the bigger problem that many of our county hospitals used to face from the defunct NHIF is that when they offered services to citizens, many of our public hospitals would actually wait for a year or 2 before being paid. That is no longer the case. We have challenged, and I'm happy because we are all in this house, and I hope CS Duale meant what he said when he promised us that before the end of the mandatory 1 year, 3 months period that we have given them under the Section 43 of the Social Health Authority Act, he will bring a report to this House. And I mentioned to him and I said, I want to see that report detailed, name by name, the institutions that have been compensated in my own county. Because I want to go there and see Cheborgei Health Center. How much in compensation have they received over the last 1 year? Because that is the only way you're going to build a credible public health infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. One that is supported by payments from the national coverage that citizens are receiving. As we speak today, Mr. Speaker, you cannot argue with the fact that there are 28 million Kenyans that are registered under SHA. They register themselves, 50,000 of them each day. Do you know why they are registering? It's because they hear from their neighbor that when I was unwell, my bill was 600,000-700,000, SHA paid for me 200,000 or 300,000. And that means a lot to the ordinary folk in the village. Mr. Speaker, we must establish ways through which we will provide medicine in our health facilities. It is the biggest concern each time. It's the biggest concern that citizens raise, for example, with me as a representative each time when I speak in public engagements and ask them to register on SHA, because they tell me, then tell the governors to put medicine in the hospitals, because it's not sufficient just to walk there. Mr. Speaker, there have been arguments that have been made also about the lack of address to national values and principles of governance. My colleague, Senator Sifuna, the last paragraph of that article that you read speaks about sustainable development, development that transitions from one generation to the other. I believe that is what the president is speaking to in the last 45 paragraphs of his speech, the things that we must do as a republic. And he asked the questions in this speech, Mr. Speaker, that, for example, when we did privatization of Telcom, when we did privatization of KenGen, when we did privatization of Safaricom, where did those funds go? We consumed it all in salaries. That's why we are saying we must be a people that inflect and reflect and learn from the mistakes of the past. That's why we are proposing this time and saying that if we carry out any privatization like what is being done with pipeline and all the rest that are following, we must put it in a national sovereign wealth fund like other countries do, funds that will only be invested in making our country better. I believe that is part of sharing the burden from one generation to the other, and so many other things that can be done. What I want to challenge in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, because I know my time is up and I don't want to speak a lot because my colleague have said very, very important things, is as a House, what I expect us to do come 2026, Mr. Speaker, is in so many of these solid programs that are being proposed, where I feel we have let the people of Kenya down is on our oversight as an institution of governance in this country, Mr. Speaker. There are many programs, Mr. Speaker, that have been done and they are running out within the circles of public, Mr. Speaker, yet there are questions that citizens continue to raise, which they expect that us as their representatives, we will speak about them to fine-tune, from the affordable housing program to social health to this one of the sovereign wealth. Senator Mungatana, we must be the voice that continue to check and ensure the dream that we had when we passed those laws is implemented to the letter. My dear colleagues, there is what the executive can do. There is what also we must do as a legislature. And it is not in our place. We must compete. For example, I have challenged and I have told the House that as we receive the reports of, for example, the markets and the houses that are being built across the country, we must see the national spread. You must see significant markets of 700, 800, 900 million shillings being built in Tana River the same way they are being built in other parts of the country. That is our duty. And we must ensure that as the president and the executive do their part, we also do our part, Mr. Speaker. That is what we are called upon to. Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply and do ask my colleagues to take note of the fact that besides the speech of the State of the Nation, Mr. Speaker, that the President gave, there are other reports that are also tabled alongside, including the report on the state of security, the report on the progress made in fulfilling international obligations. Those are very important, Mr. Speaker, because, for example, why I'm speaking, Speaker, allow me just 30 seconds to say this, is because, for example, I know Kenya signs what are they called? The name disappears from my mind right now. The economic agreements, CEPA, comprehensive economic partnership agreements with other countries, including countries like those in the Middle East, Mr. Speaker. It is the time has come for us as members of this House to look into the details of those agreements and see what the host countries give as their commitment, Mr. Speaker, in ensuring that the fundamental rights of the citizens from this country that work in those countries are guaranteed, Mr. Speaker. It is not fair for many of our young people that we see working, particularly in the Middle East, Mr. Speaker, and occasionally we keep seeing videos of them being harassed. Some of them are killed, Mr. Speaker, yet it is without consequence. There must be a consequence to the host country, Mr. Speaker, because all those agreements are signed and approved and ratified by this House. Therefore, it is our duty to ensure that we follow through, to ensure that Kenyans who work in those countries, Mr. Speaker, their rights are guaranteed. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. Finally, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 66.3, I request for the Department of the putting of a question until a later date. I thank you.
Very well. The putting of the question has been defined. We go to, Honorable Senators, I want to reorganize order of business this afternoon. We defer order number 10 to order number 14. Those are committee of the whole. We go to order number 15.
Order number 15, motion, report of the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing on a petition by Mr. Francis Otieno regarding compensation to sugarcane crop damaged by the Department of Public Works, Roads, Energy and Transport in Pap Oriang in Siaya County.
This motion was discussed on Wednesday, 19th November 2025, afternoon sitting. Senator Ruto Kenywa has a balance of 16 minutes if he is around. If he is not, then we go to Senator Mungatana Danson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to debate this report. Mr. Speaker, this report was occasioned by one Mr. Francis Otieno, who wanted compensation for the damage on his sugarcane crop.
More Radio, 88.2 FM. We are in charge. More Radio, 88.2 FM. We are in charge.